Walk into almost any Harley dealership right now, and you'll feel it before anyone says it out loud. The floor looks full, the excuses sound rehearsed, and the deals are suddenly aggressive. This isn't a seasonal sale. This is a shift. Industry inventory reports through 2025 show cruiser stock sitting longer, trade-in values dropping, and dealers quietly pushing bikes they once bragged about. We're talking icons. Models riders swore would hold value forever. But here's the twist. This isn't just about numbers. It's about identity, loyalty, and a market that changed faster than the brand expected. Stick with me, because by the end, you'll know if your bike is becoming a legend or a loss. Number 10. Harley-Davidson Nightster. For decades, Harley's smallest machines carried more weight than their frames suggested. They were the gateway to a brotherhood that measured distance in fuel stops and trust in torque. Yet, in 2025, that legacy meets the cold math of a shifting market. Dealers across the country are quietly steering the Nightster toward the exit row of their showrooms. It is not because the bike failed to perform, but because it no longer fits where Harley's heart and wallet now aim. The Nightster once stood as the honest way in a real V-twin for riders who wanted to start American and stay there. These numbers look solid on paper, yet numbers do not hold memories. The Nightster carries the new Revolution Max engine, a smooth performer that tries to please both purists and younger eyes. But its balance between heritage and technology creates confusion more than confidence. Many veteran riders see plastic panels where they expect chrome and digital displays where they once read vibration and sound. The bike handles well, light on its feet, and eager through corners, but it rides in a class Harley once ruled through soul rather than agility. The Nightster is powered by the Revolution Max 975 T liquid-cooled V-twin engine with a displacement of 975 cubic centimeters. It produces approximately 91 horsepower and around 70 pound-feet of torque. The motorcycle carries a wet weight of 481 pounds, with a seat height measuring 27.1 inches. The starting price is $13,499. Dealers know it too. Showroom space costs money, and slow turns tell a truth the press releases never do. Entry-level pricing no longer draws new blood when imported competitors offer equal punch for less. Meanwhile, older riders want longer wheelbases, taller screens, and the deep throb that reminds them of yesterday's iron. The Nightster finds itself caught between generations, too modern for nostalgia, too reserved for rebellion. For those who still respect what it represents, the ride is fine, but the fit feels off. The next model in this lineup reveals how even a little more power cannot outrun a changing identity. Number 9. Harley-Davidson Sportster S. For generations, the Sportster name stood for simple freedom, an honest American twin, stripped to the bones and ready for any back road. But in 2025, that symbol carries a different weight. The modern Sportster no longer shares much with the lean machines that roared through the 70s and 80s. It has become something else entirely, part evolution and part experiment, caught between performance goals and tradition. Dealers once relied on this badge to bring in younger riders. Now, those same bikes are lingering on display floors, admired but not claimed. Those numbers reveal a motorcycle built for muscle. It launches hard, corners sharper than any Sportster before it, and hums with the precision of the Revolution Max engine. Yet for riders who grew up with air-cooled simplicity and wrench-friendly design, the feel has shifted. The engine's power band is smooth, almost too refined, and the exhaust note whispers compared to the bark of the older Ironheads. This version handles like a sport bike, but speaks a different language than the machine that once defined the working man's Harley. The Sportster S runs the Revolution Max 1252T engine, delivering 121 horsepower and 93 pound-feet of torque from a displacement of 1,252 cubic centimeters. Wet weight stands near 485 pounds, and the seat height measures roughly 29.6 inches. Its wet weight is 502 pounds, seat height 29.6 inches, and starting price $16,999. Dealers say the Sportster's biggest challenge is identity. It costs more than what most newcomers expect, yet it lacks the nostalgic pull that drives older buyers toward classics. Some test rides end with admiration, others with confusion. The ergonomics sit low, the tank line feels unfamiliar, and the digital cluster replaces gauges once loved for their mechanical honesty. The performance is real, but the personality feels borrowed. In a market where authenticity sells louder than horsepower, that gap can be fatal. The Sportster S may represent progress, but progress alone rarely wins loyalty. The next bike on this list proves that raw style and stance can still struggle when tradition demands respect over novelty. If you've been nodding along because you've seen this shift coming, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more honest breakdowns. Share your thoughts. Below, your experience matters just as much as the machines we ride. Number 8. Harley-Davidson. Breakout 117. Every era of Harley builds a machine that looks like it could punch a hole through the horizon. For this generation, that machine is the Breakout. It was born to turn heads, long and low, with a stance that looked like motion even when the kickstand was down. Yet in 2025, dealers are finding that style alone no longer clears the showroom floor. The Breakout still brings attitude, but the market around it has changed, and what once shouted freedom now sits in silence under bright lights, waiting for a buyer who remembers why boldness mattered. Those numbers tell a story of power, but power alone no longer seals the deal. The Breakout's Milwaukee 8. 117 engine delivers a surge that feels endless, a heartbeat that shakes the ground and reassures the rider that steel still has a soul. Its wide rear tire and stretched bars give it the attitude of a custom chopper straight from the factory. But that same stance makes it less forgiving for long rides, and riders over 50 who care about comfort and control now look toward softer, balanced cruisers. It is not the engine that discourages them, it is the posture. The Breakout 117 carries the Milwaukee 8 117 engine, equal to 1,923 cubic centimeters. It produces about 103 horsepower and 123 pound-feet of torque. Wet weight averages 653 pounds, and the seat height rests near 25.5 inches, and starting price $22,499. Dealers have noticed that while younger riders admire the Breakout's profile, they rarely sign papers for it. Insurance, weight, and ergonomics narrow its audience to those who ride for expression more than distance. The result is a bike too proud to change and too specialized to survive an evolving lineup. It remains a symbol of Harley's wilder side, a reminder that rebellion still has a price. The next bike on this list proves that brute strength and presence are not always enough when the road demands endurance over impression. If you're thinking about upgrading your setup, scroll down after the video. My go-to riding gear and accessories are waiting for you. Number 7. Harley-Davidson Fat Bob 114. Every generation of Harley builds at least one motorcycle that looks ready to throw a punch. For this era, that fighter is the Fat Bob. It carries the swagger of an alley brawler, all squared lighting, thick tires, and a stance that demands respect. The design was meant to attract a new breed of rider, someone who wanted Harley muscle without the chrome and nostalgia. Yet, as 2025 unfolds, that gamble is showing cracks. Dealers are watching these bikes sit longer, not because they are weak, but because they speak a language fewer riders now understand. Those numbers make sense for a true performance cruiser. Twist the throttle, and the Fat Bob launches forward like a heavyweight trained in discipline. It corners sharper than it looks and holds its line with authority. But the aggression that once felt refreshing now isolates it from Harley's core touring crowd. Older riders appreciate its torque, but hesitate at its compact ergonomics and firm suspension. The Fat Bob asks its rider to commit to a posture that feels more street than highway. And for many, that difference defines the divide between admiration and ownership. The Fatboy 114 uses the Milwaukee 8 114 engine with a displacement of 1,868 cubic centimeters. It produces roughly 93 horsepower and 114 pound-feet of torque. Curb weight sits close to 676 pounds, while seat height measures about 27.7 inches. Starting price is $20,599. In dealerships, the pattern repeats. Riders come in to look, nod in approval, and move on to comfort-first models. The Fatboy remains an icon for those who still crave attitude over amenities, but that group grows smaller each season. As Harley's strategy leans toward balance and touring sophistication, raw street muscle loses its voice. The Fatboy has the heart of a bare-knuckle fighter, but the market now favors endurance over defiance. The next bike on this list shows how nostalgia and craftsmanship sometimes struggle when progress begins to price them out of reach. Number 6. Harley-Davidson Heritage Classic. There are motorcycles that feel like history on two wheels, and the Heritage stands at the front of that line. It was built to carry the spirit of Harley's golden age, chrome, leather, and long horizons stitched together by the rhythm of an air-cooled twin. In 2025, the Heritage still looks the part, but dealerships across the country are seeing nostalgia fight a quiet battle against modern expectations. What once defined timeless American touring is now caught between regulation, pricing, and a shift toward technology that riders over 50 do not always welcome. These numbers describe a solid touring cruiser, one that still balances muscle with dignity. The Heritage glides rather than sprints, carrying its rider through distance with a calm that newer machines rarely match. But beneath the shine and studded bags lies a growing problem. The simplicity that made it beloved now counts against it in a market chasing screens, connectivity, and hybrid controls. Riders who once prized a mechanical bond now find themselves surrounded by dealerships pushing updates instead of upgrades. The result is a model that still captures hearts, but no longer drives the sales chart. The Heritage Classic 117 draws power from the Milwaukee 8 117 engine, displacing 1,923 cubic centimeters. Output is approximately 98 horsepower and 120 pound-feet of torque. Wet weight comes in near 728 pounds, and seat height stands around 26.3 inches. Starting price is $22,499. Dealers whisper that its days may be numbered not because it lost its purpose, but because Harley's accountants have. Maintaining a pure air-cooled touring frame grows expensive as emission standards rise and younger buyers look elsewhere. Yet, for those who have logged miles across states on one, the Heritage remains sacred ground. It carries the sound, smell, and grace of a time when motorcycles were felt, not managed. The next bike on this list reveals how even a royal name can face the same crossroads between loyalty and survival. Number 5, Harley-Davidson Road King Special. Among Harley's great touring machines, none carry a name with more weight than the Road King. It has ruled highways for decades, a symbol of endurance and pride that stretched across the country's long white lines. In 2025, however, the King's crown feels heavier than ever. Dealers have begun to move these bikes out quietly. Not because they lack power or presence, but because the company's priorities have shifted toward sleeker, tech-heavy tourers. The Road King still commands attention, yet it now fights a battle between legacy and modernization that even loyal riders can feel. Those numbers read like the resume of a heavyweight built for distance. The Road King delivers torque by the handful, pulling hard through every gear while keeping its composure mile after mile. Its simplicity once defined its charm: no fairing, no excess, just wind, steel, and confidence. Yet, as more touring bikes adopt screens, adjustable modes, and electronic refinement, the Road King's stripped character begins to look like omission instead of intention. For older riders who value mechanical purity, that honesty remains sacred. But to new buyers raised on gadgets, it feels like a step back. The Road King Special employs the Milwaukee 8 117 engine with 1,923 cubic centimeters of displacement. Published torque for this configuration reaches roughly 120 pound-feet, with horsepower figures hovering near the mid-90s. Overall wet weight is about 800 pounds, and the seat height averages 26.4 inches. Starting price is $24,999. Dealers see fewer test rides, even from veterans who once swore by the model. Rising costs, heavy weight, and changing ergonomics have pushed some toward lighter tourers or trikes. The Road King still rules where it counts, long, open roads and cross-state runs. But the modern showroom does not run on memories. It runs on movement. For those who still believe a motorcycle should feel alive without digital distractions, the Road King remains royalty. The next bike on this list reveals how minimalism and attitude can clash with the demands of comfort and longevity. Number 4. Harley-Davidson Street. Bob 114. Every so often, Harley releases a motorcycle that strips away the extras and leaves only what matters. The Street Bob is that machine, a raw, lean reminder of when bikes were built to ride, not to impress. It wears minimalism like a badge of honor, a factory custom with nothing more than steel, torque, and backbone. Yet in 2025, that purity has become its challenge. Dealers love its simplicity, but shoppers keep asking for comfort, storage, and tech. The Street Bob remains loyal to tradition, even as the market quietly turns its back on restraint. Those numbers tell the story of a stripped-down fighter, a bike meant to carve through city traffic and glide along rural blacktop. The Street Bob's Milwaukee 8 114 engine provides a steady wave of torque that feels honest from idle to redline. It is quick off the mark and clean through the gears, the kind of motorcycle that rewards skill over software. Yet, for riders who have spent decades in the saddle, its light frame and bare-bones setup can feel almost too simple. There are no touring comforts here, no wind protection, no luggage, no luxury, just the open air and a steady heartbeat beneath the tank. The Street Bob 114 runs the Milwaukee 8, 114 engine displacing 1,868 cubic centimeters. It produces close to 114 pound-feet of torque, with horsepower in the low 90s range. Wet weight registers around 655 pounds, and seat height measures roughly 26.8 inches. Starting price is $16,999. Dealers say interest comes in waves. Some buyers fall in love instantly, drawn by its old-school character and classic bobber stance. Others see it as a beautiful idea that no longer fits real-world riding. The truth sits somewhere in between. The Street Bob keeps Harley's rebellious streak alive. But rebellion alone cannot balance a market that now demands convenience along with character. The next bike on this list shows how history and heritage can still struggle when the weight of nostalgia meets the price of progress. If you want straight talk, real facts, and no corporate spin, make sure you're subscribed before the next video drops. Every week we uncover what's really happening inside the motorcycle world, and you won't want to be the one catching up later. Number 3. Harley-Davidson Fatboy. Few motorcycles carry the same instant recognition as the Fatboy. It is more than a machine. It is an American monument cast in metal. Every curve, every solid disc wheel, and every deep note from the exhaust reminds riders of a time when muscle and style rode side by side. In 2025, the Fatboy still looks like authority on two wheels. But dealers are learning that authority alone does not move inventory. It remains an icon, yet one facing an uncomfortable truth. Not every legend survives unchanged in a market chasing comfort, screens, and lighter weight. Those numbers read like the blueprint of a heavyweight cruiser, And that is exactly what the Fatboy was born to be. It holds the road with the same determination as a freight train, soaking up miles while keeping its rider wrapped in that unmistakable Harley pulse. But beneath the shine lies a shifting reality. Riders who once chased presence now chase practicality. The weight that once meant stability now means fatigue after long rides. And the low seat that once inspired confidence now strains knees and backs over distance. The Fatboy 114 also uses the Milwaukee 8 114 engine, with a displacement of 1,868 cubic centimeters. It generates about 94 horsepower and 114 pound-feet of torque. The wet weight sits near 694 pounds, while the seat height is approximately 26.6 inches. Starting price is $24,999. Dealers report that interest comes mostly from loyalist riders who grew up with the silhouette and refuse to see it fade. Younger shoppers admire it, but rarely commit, preferring modern lines and digital touches over raw mass and attitude. Yet even as trends change, the Fatboy's spirit refuses to fade. It remains the physical proof that style can be strength and silence can be rebellion. For the few who still see motorcycles as art forged in torque and patience, it is irreplaceable. The next bike on this list proves that performance and heritage can clash when technology takes the wheel. Number 2. Harley-Davidson Lowrider S. Among Harley's modern power cruisers, few command the same respect as the Lowrider ES. It carries the kind of attitude that does not ask for approval. It earns it. Born from Harley's performance lineage, it became a symbol for riders who crave muscle over marketing and torque over talk. Yet, in 2025, even this powerhouse faces the crosswinds of regulation, cost, and changing demand. Dealers still admire its raw appeal, but sales are slowing as the market drifts toward lighter, tech-driven machines. The Lowrider S remains unapologetic, but the world around it is changing fast. Those numbers define it as one of the strongest, most unapologetic machines in Harley's modern lineup. The Lowrider S feels alive from the instant you press the starter. The Milwaukee 8 117 engine answering with a deep mechanical heartbeat that demands respect. Every gear shift carries authority. Every throttle pull unleashes a surge that feels raw, intentional, and unmistakably American. It doesn't chase refinement, it celebrates rebellion. That defiance is what made seasoned riders fall in love with it, calling it a reminder of when bikes had personality, not software. Yet that same gritty soul now creates tension in a changing market. Younger riders raised on balanced electronics see it as too heavy, too loud, and too honest for the everyday ride, missing the beauty in its unfiltered truth. The Lowrider S carries the Milwaukee 8 117 high-output engine with a displacement of 1,923 cubic centimeters. It produces roughly 114 horsepower and 128 pound-feet of torque. The wet weight averages 679 pounds, and the seat height is around 28 inches. Starting price is $18,299. For older riders who value direct control, the Lowrider S is a final stand against over-refinement. Yet, dealerships whisper that its days in the spotlight may be numbered. Emission updates, noise restrictions, and the cost of performance engineering are squeezing margins thin. Still, this motorcycle represents something too rare to dismiss authentic American muscle without compromise. It rides like a rebellion on two wheels, and when it disappears, riders will feel that loss deep in their bones. The next and final bike in this countdown defines what Harley once promised and what it risks leaving behind. Number 1. Harley-Davidson Street Glide. For nearly 2 decades, the Street Glide has stood as the unmistakable face of Harley, touring an icon of long-distance freedom and mechanical pride. It is the bike that filled highways from coast to coast, roaring beneath the sunsets of countless states. the machine most riders picture when they hear the words American V-twin. In 2025, it still wears that legacy, proudly broad fairing, low stance, chrome heartbeat pulsing through every mile, but dealers are starting to feel the shift. What was once Harley's most untouchable model now finds itself caught between generations. The riders who built its legend are aging, and the next wave values speed, technology, and price over heritage and sound. The Street Glide remains a masterpiece of endurance and identity. But its greatest challenge isn't a rival brand, it's time itself, quietly changing the road beneath its tires. Numbers alone do not tell the story of this motorcycle. The Street Glide was built to carry riders across entire states without breaking their backs or their spirits. It has presence, comfort, and that unmistakable pulse that feels more like a companion than a machine. For older riders, it remains the gold standard, predictable, balanced, and built to go the distance. Yet even that loyalty faces pressure. Competing brands are lighter, faster, and filled with advanced electronics. Younger buyers look at the Street Glide and see cost and weight, where veterans see history and heart. The Street Glide features the Milwaukee 8 117 engine, with a displacement of 1,923 cubic centimeters. It delivers approximately 105 horsepower and 120 pound-feet of torque. Wet weight is near 826 pounds, and the seat height measures roughly 26.4 inches. Starting price is $25,999. Dealers whisper about unsold units sitting longer than expected. Rising production costs and evolving emission standards are tightening margins, and corporate attention has turned toward new models that promise innovation instead of tradition. But for many who grew up with Harleys, no update can replace the sound of a Milwaukee 8 engine breathing through the open road. The Street Glide is more than metal, it is memory made mechanical. Whether or not it remains on showroom floors, its legacy will keep rolling wherever riders still believe freedom should be heavy, loud, and earned through miles. The road might be changing, but the story isn't over. Not for Harley, and not for riders like us. Every bike on this list tells a truth about where the brand's been, and where it's headed next. If you've made it this far, you're clearly part of the crew that still cares about what happens to real motorcycles. So, before you roll out, drop a comment and tell me which Harley you think deserves to stay. Hit that like button if you respect the ride, and subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive into what's really happening behind the chrome.